Hello, I'm Dr. Lindsay Coble.
Dr. Noelle Crosby, and we are the Sound Sisters, and this is the Hearing Diaries.
And today on the Sound Sisters, we are joined by Dr. Jill Davis. Jill is the owner and clinical director of Victory Hearing and Balance in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, we're so
Thank
happy
you.
to have you here. One thing interesting is I first met Jill on a phone call that I just heard her talking, and I'm like, who is this woman? When it was with Cognivue, I'm like, who is this person? I want to get to know her better. So then I reached out to her and I learned all the wonderful things that she knows. But today on our Be Curious segment, we just want to highlight that Jill has actually developed a music program for patients. And she's just going to tell you a little bit about it as we go along and you'll learn a little bit more. But it is available for people to sign up and offer it to their patients. So we wanted to highlight that she does have that available.
Tell us how you first got into audiology.
To most of us in the industry that I didn't start in audiology. I really was into more of the physical therapy, athletic training. I wanted to do that route. And when I got to school, they said, well, you got to get a master's for that. And I thought, oh, no thanks. uh, which look at me now. But
Yeah.
my dad had mentioned audiology. Yeah, I didn't even know what it was. And so when I was looking for alternate paths, I took a communication science course and it really just resonated with me. And when I learned about vestibular and working with physical therapy, it was just like, wow, maybe this is meant to be. I really enjoy that. And we're kind of coming full circle now that I have a fall risk center and we're working with physical therapists. And so funny how it took about 18 years, but back to what I
Yeah.
wanted to do in the first place.
And did you always see yourself as a practice owner when you were starting out, or did like things happen where life kind of nudged you to do that?
It was never in my plans, actually. I was content being an employee and clocking in, clocking out. And I think what happened was over and over, you get that, report from patients that say, this has never been done before. Why do you do this? And I haven't had this before. And it's, what am I doing differently that other folks aren't? It's just what I've been trained and best practice. And I think the community started to learn about that. And someone approached me to purchase a practice and thought I would be a good fit. And at the time, my youngest was 6 months. My husband was about to retire. And we thought, well, maybe it is a good time to start on our own. So it was not, it just kind of fell into place. But I didn't see myself as an owner. But someone else believed in me and thought I could do it. So I kind of just jumped in.
How long has your practice been open, Jill?
I purchased in January of 19, but it was open for 16 years before that. So yeah, it's well established. So we're going in our 6th year. But it was definitely up and running and full on as soon as I got there. It was very busy.
Looking back, what were the early days like?
COVID,
Oh,
chaos.
I didn't think of that. Oh my gosh.
I know. I had a year that we were just going and trying and doing and patient care, I was all in. And then COVID was kind of a blessing. I mean, it hit and it made us sit back and reflect and like catch our breath and get back to the family. And it gave me some time to think about what I want this practice to be, because it was mainly dispensing when I purchased, and that's great, but not what my passion is. And so during quarantine, I got to go through Angela Alexander's course. I added auditory processing. I unbundled at that time. I started joining the Cochlear Provider Network. And so I was just adding on to what I thought we should do moving forward. So it was a little scary when we went back into clinic in June because I had all these big ideas, but I think it worked out. I think that was actually a blessing that we had that little break that I could kind of reevaluate everything.
yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah,
really
that's
interesting.
when we met too, Noelle. That was
Yeah,
the
I was, yeah, because you had already bought, because you already knew how important it would be to have a cognitive screener in your office. And I got involved with Cognivue, I think early in 2020. And then the pandemic, and then that's when I first talked to you, and that's when you were doing a lot of growth and a lot of, really investigation into all the different things you were doing. Yeah. So isn't that crazy that it's so many years ago now? But
No.
what do you think is what's one of your decisions that you think you got right in building your practice? I think you kind of told us that already, where you kind of found your niche and you wanted to do more than dispensing. But what would be one thing that you would do differently?
Mhm. Trusting the buying groups, the manufacturers. I think when I purchased the practice, I just thought maybe the folks I was working with had my best interest in mind. And I didn't really research what other options were available when you're buying a practice. And so I just kind of trusted that they would guide me to the right solution. And it didn't turn out to be that way.
Internal.
So yeah, I just didn't want to be tied down to manufacturer commitments and those kinds of things. And I wish I would have known that there were other options, but it's kind of like everyone's doing this. You'll be fine. This is how it goes. And so I just put a little too
Right,
much trust in those buying groups.
right.
I love that and such a good caution for people to learn. I feel like when young providers are starting
It's
out or
not.
purchasing, you don't know what to do.
Yeah, and it's not bad to do it. It's just that what I guess you have to know what you want from it and what they can offer you, and then investigate maybe more choices. So that's a good message for somebody who might just be starting out too.
Or
Yeah.
talk to people like
I,
Jill who have done it.
Yes.
Mhm.
I owe so much to ADA, honestly. Without them and their guidance and them supporting like that breakup, it was amazing
Mhm.
that the resources they have given me that I just didn't know were available. And so I wasn't with the Academy of Doctors of Audiology when I was an ENT audiologist, but
Right.
man, that was the biggest, best decision was getting that membership and helping me through all of that. So it kind of gave me that connection that helped grow even more. So
So great. What would you say when you take care of your patients? What would you say is one of the biggest non-negotiables in your clinic for patient care?
basic test, like best practices is basic.
Mhm.
Like that's the least that you can do with a patient, starting from like initial paperwork, conversations, building rapport, like to the fitting, the follow up, the outcome measures. And so that's a non-negotiable that you just do the right thing, which unfortunately can actually separate you from others around.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, but I have a hard time with names and remembering. I'm better with faces. I'm really great at remembering audiograms.
Oh, that's
So
funny. Oh, that's the guy that has the corner audiogram or the
It's an
exactly.
sloping.
audiogram.
I mean, it tells me so much about them just by looking at the audiogram. But I feel like a non-negotiable is I have to have like that patient connection, a story. I have to have like one thing that really helps me identify and make that connection. And so
Yeah.
like best practice is non-negotiable. Like what else I have to do is get to know them on a personal level because when you've done audiology for 18 years, you can do the science and the fitting and all that stuff no problem. It's more that connection that we have to have with the patient. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. I think that's interesting where you look at them and you're like, okay, you have this kind of loss, and you went to Europe last year or something like that versus yeah. So explaining, like tell me a little bit about what that looks like in your office. So what best practices looks like. How do you introduce, cognition or cognitive screening and explain all that to the patients without them getting worried or upset about it, because that's what I
Mm-hmm.
found is sometimes a problem explaining that to them.
Yeah, I think part of it is all of the awareness that's out there now and patients coming in with some anxiety about the hearing loss, memory loss connection. And so mainly I'm just putting them at ease that what I'm learning is how they function in the real world. I just want to do a whole picture of their hearing care. And so that means we're going to check basic testing, can you hear sound, but also how do you process that sound? And what I'm learning from the cognitive screening is honestly, it's how well they compensate for the hearing that they have. A healthy brain can compensate really well. It can help this patient
That's
get through in all
interesting.
environments, and they don't even know they have loss. The ones that can pass the cognitive screen have usually been pushed in by somebody else.
Mm.
There's been a situation where they're being forced to go in, but they don't feel the handicap of it because their brain is so healthy. The folks that are starting to see the slipping or may not pass the cognitive screening, they can't compensate as well. Their hearing loss is affecting them a lot more than what someone with a healthy brain would experience. And so that's just letting me explain to them, I can see things are harder for you. I see that you're using more effort, that this was challenging, and it's my job to reduce that effort, make things better for you. So it's kind of two camps. It's the ones that pass. I'm trying to preserve that. I'm trying to say, I see how great you are. Everything, is healthy, but your hearing loss is causing some communication changes, and it's my job to keep things healthy for you.
Oh, I
Where
like
if
that.
if they didn't do well, it's like I can see your effort, I see the struggles, I can see that was difficult. It's my job to make things easier for you. So it's
Yeah.
not like, oh no, you didn't pass, let's talk about dementia and hearing loss. It's
Mhm.
more, how can I make your life easier? And then I get the help from other physicians if I find that they need a little more. So,
Yeah, I like how you say that it's preserving it or making life easier for you. So it's works both ways. If you're already doing well, we want to keep you doing well, but if you're not, then we want to do the things that we need to do to see how the best you can do.
Mhm.
mhm.
That's
I would say
interesting.
adding in the music-based training, how did you ever get into that realm of being such a champion for kind of the music therapy and kind of how do you handle that?
Yeah, I started cognitive screening because of the music
I
training.
remember
And
that.
so, yeah, it was a way that I could measure the patient's performance if the hearing was modifiable, which we were learning in the research. So this all started back in 2015 when I was looking for some way to help my patients who were still struggling even after hearing treatment. We had some auditory training programs that I personally had low adoption rates with those.
Mhm.
And so I thought maybe there was something else that we could do. And so I was reading a book called This Is Your Brain on Music by Daniel Levitin. And that was the time that we were talking about the changes in the brain that happen with untreated hearing loss. And so it was just like a spark
Mhm.
that I thought maybe we could use music to help our patients. And just turned to the literature, the research. I found some protocols that they were using in the labs to show that learning to play an instrument can improve your working memory. It can improve your processing of background noise. And I was like, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So it took my maternity leave 7 years ago when I was off work to actually build out what the protocol would look like. And so then as soon as I bought Victory, I started recommending it with my patients. And so the ones that were still struggling even after they got through their trial period with their hearing aids, I would recommend that they go through this music training program. And luckily, the timing worked out again in my favor, where it was COVID and they needed something to do. Everyone wanted a hobby. And so I was
Yeah.
able I could
Everyone's
recruit a lot
buying
of folks. Yeah.
Yeah.
pianos and instruments and
Yeah, so I rented a bunch of keyboards. I called my patients and sent out an email and I said, if you're, still struggling to hear and you want to improve your memory. And so I started the cognitive screening as a pre-measurement. I did speech and noise testing. I would put them through the 3-month piano playing program that they did on their own at home and then bring them back to redo the cognitive screening and the speech and noise testing. And so about 80% would improve. And what I learned on that is there are a portion of our patients that no matter what we do, hearing aids, auditory training, it's not going to improve. And those
Mhm.
are the ones that need help from our physician partners. But
Mhm.
it's a much
right.
clearer picture of who could benefit and who we need to recruit that support. And we don't give up at the device. Like there's still a lot more that we can do. And it's not for patients who are already musicians because they should already have the benefits of music in the brain. And so we're really trying to recruit those folks that have never played an instrument before. Those are the ones that are ideal candidates. So.
Oh, every time I listen to you, Jill, I go, I'm going to start doing this. I really, and this time I am. So,
Yeah, and such a neat
They
program
really
too.
like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
they enjoy it. Like it's another hobby, and the ones that think it's difficult and tough, they stick with it long enough to say, "Well, I tried." But I've created some really great relationships with music therapists too. I work with one out of Pacific University, and she does some virtual training for the ones that need a little extra help if the cognitive impairment is a little more than what they could do at home on their own. That's what music therapists are there to help with
Yeah.
that, since it's outside of my scope. So,
But you have the good referral sources for that.
absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely think that that we need to get the word out more about how that can benefit people.
And it's so
So we'll
research,
have to do
research
a good
backed.
job
It's
with
not
that.
made up. Yeah. It has
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
no.
behind it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Whenever I don't know something, I just look to the literature because
Yeah.
it will
right.
help.
Love that.
Well, I think changing gears, we want to talk to you a little bit about your leadership and mentorship. So you recently stepped into the role of president-elect of ADA, and I'm not sure when you start that. Is that going to be coming up soon? But what inspired you to take on that leadership role?
Isn't that wild? I still can't believe it. Um, Honestly, I was looking for a way to get back to ADA. They supported me so much. I said, "What can I do to help? Whatever you need." And it started with just joining the board. And I was, director at large. And then I felt like I was doing a favor when they needed someone to nominate for president. I didn't think it would actually happen, but I said, "Sure, you can do that." And so in January, I'll start that role.
January, okay.
But yeah, it's just whatever I can do to help. Like, I just love what they're doing with advocacy. I love what they're doing with moving the profession forward, and I just want to be a part of that. So, however I can help, I'm happy to.
Love to see that.
What would you say are your hopes for ADA and the profession in the coming years, or as
Oh,
you as you take the lead? What are some of your hopes or goals?
what's so great is, like, we actually have a vision, Audiology 2050. Are you guys familiar with that? I mean,
Yes, but tell
it's
us
such
more.
a great, yes, it's the guidance of everything we do going forward. We have a plan, we have clear direction. If something comes up that doesn't fall in line with our vision, then maybe we don't put a lot of energy into
Yeah.
that. And so patient well-being is at the center of our vision, and then the audiology patient relationship and audiologist well-being as well. But there's these 7 different components that are going to make up our vision for progressing the field, and it kind of starts with passing the Medicare Audiology Access Improvement Act and getting our practitioner status. That's going to open up a whole lot more things that we can do, from the university level to adding extenders, for audiology being the entry point for all hearing and balance. So all kinds of fun stuff. But what I appreciate now going into this leadership is, like, I have a plan and a path. It's not just, let's see how it goes. We have clear direction of what
You
comes
know
next.
where you need to go, and you'll do
Mm-hmm.
whatever you need to help them get there. Well,
Absolutely.
I hope one day that it all passes. I know that I've been waiting a long time for it to happen. So hopefully it's going to happen.
This is the year. I feel it.
Yeah. That's all. You know how, like, you put something out in the world and your energy can shift things. I mean, I absolutely believe that if we're all out there believing it's going to happen, then things will fall into place where it.
We have over 200 people are going to lobby day.
I
It's
saw that.
amazing.
I'll be there.
So big
And
group.
I am not going to be there this year. You're going, Lindsay?
Yeah, I'm going.
No, yeah.
Yay.
I had something that I had already had planned, and so I'm not going to be there. But I know everybody that's there is going to take good care of everything and make it do a great
Good.
job introducing things. So let's talk a little bit about, as your role as a woman business owner, what barriers do you think you faced that you somehow figured it out and managed to push through?
Um, from the female male perspective, I think when you're a business owner, you get to pick who you partner with. And so if there is any kind of uneasy or, odd feelings, I can choose not to create those partnerships. But probably where I noticed the most issues would be in the ENT clinic. I just feel like that's where the respect is different when you work for male. I don't know. I just looking back, I was like, why did I put up with some of that stuff? Like the don't call yourself a doctor, the
Oh,
technician kind of
and believe
thing.
me,
So
I did
like,
it too. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I did
yeah, and so I think it's easier as an owner.
Oh, Lindsay did it
I
too. Yeah,
did
we all
too.
kind of had that same. Yeah.
And look at us now.
I
This is where we're
know.
meant to
We
be.
made it. We made it on the other
This
side.
is how it should be. Absolutely.
But it took growing, grow. That's why it's nice if we can mentor younger women coming into the field and make them realize that you can do this a lot earlier than some of us did. And I
Mhm.
think that we're seeing that more too.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But Lindsay, I guess you can go
I
to
feel
the
that.
next question.
Yeah, I think our next question,
Um,
let's talk about the work-life blend. That's where I would go next, Noelle. I think owning a business,
okay.
being the president-elect of ADA, how do you protect your time, your energy, being a wife, a mom, your joy? How do you kind of manage all of that?
It's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so hard. I think
So hard.
it comes in waves.
Mm.
There's times where I have like amazing support at home so I can be in the clinic and taking care of things. And then there's times where I have amazing support at the clinic and I can be closer to the kids and being involved. But there's like busy season that I feel stretched thin and that I might be missing some things. But then we try to make up for it down the road. And patients understand if there's a time you have to go because your kid plays tennis at 4, so I'm cutting clinic early. And
Mhm.
there's things that I schedule accordingly. But part of being the owner is having that support in the clinic, finding the right people that you trust to be there when you're not. And then I'm incredibly fortunate that my husband can help me with the clinics, but also help me at home. And so I couldn't do it without
Hey,
the support in
Victor.
either way. I know, right?
We'll give him a gold star.
Okay, I'll tell him.
Yeah, tell
he
him.
he's with the sick kid right now. Two of the three kids are sick. So
Oh, back to
it's,
school.
I think that's
Everyone's
so
sick.
important when you have, yeah.
yeah,
I know
it's
Lindsay has
wonderful.
support at home, but she also has a husband who travels a lot, so that
Mhm.
brings in an element of,
Yes.
trying having the support, but not always having them there too. So
I feel the push
yeah,
pull, push pull. Like
yeah,
Jill said,
Yeah,
sometimes are easier than others, and we just get through it.
yeah.
yeah.
And that's a whole another topic that we're going to delve into a little bit more, just trying to learn what are some strategies people have and how they're doing that. And,
You know.
just, and when you're not doing it, what do you do to help you get through it? So yeah, we'll be doing that as we come up with more uh, sessions too, more shows. All right, so now let's do a quick lightning round. So just going to ask you a few questions and just see what your answers are. So, what is the first concert that you ever loved?
My first concert ever was Boys to Men in the 90s. I'm
Boys.
sticking
Ooh.
with it.
And what's one patient success story you'll never forget?
If you've seen my music talks, you've seen this video. It was my first APD client after I did the training. It was one that I recommended she do music training, and that was in June. And in December, she sent me a video of playing
You remember
Christmas
that?
carols. Yeah, I cried so much. I saw the video. Her and her mom both together were playing Christmas carols on the piano. It was wonderful. Love that.
Yes.
I was like, I think I'm onto something. It's working.
So
Yeah.
amazing. It's working. Do you want
Yeah.
me to do the next one, Noelle?
Sure.
What word would describe you and why?
I know you asked people this, so I was trying to think of it, and I asked my kids, and they said, "Mom." That's all.
Well,
Mom.
that's
I'll
something.
stick with mom.
Yeah, I love that.
I would say smart, creative,
Mm.
lovely, uh, innovative, curious.
Okay, I'll take it.
Okay. What would you do if money wasn't a concern?
Travel everywhere. I would love to see a lot of things I haven't seen yet. So
Where do you see our profession in 10 years? And that might be a whole nother topic, but in a few seconds. What do you say?
We're going to put it out there, and Maya's going to pass, and that's going to open the doors for so much growth in our industry. It's going to pass well within 10 years, and then we're going to have so much more that we can add to that. And also the scope expansions and the modernization, that's going to start flooding into other states, not just a small few. I think that we're going to see a lot more states get up with the modernization of their scope. So,
yeah. Yeah, I feel like the future is bright for audiology. I really do. I think that if we open our eyes to different avenues of audiology and not just being a dispenser and dispensing hearing aids, and we're doing the full scope of practice, I feel like there's so much more that we can do to help people. So I feel like the future is bright.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Our very last question, Jill.
And
What do
then
you think we could do to make our profession better for all?
Noelle just said it. Let's get away from dispensing. Let's practice top of scope. Let's, be the doctoring field that we know that we are. So I think all of us can elevate a bit to get beyond the widget, and I think that'll only give us more success.
yeah. Wonderful. Well, Jill, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your journey from building your practice to leading at a national level. And we're right there supporting you with that. But your commitment to best practices and innovation is really inspiring. And I really hope that younger people can follow in your path and learn from you, because we know our listeners will take so much from your story. And we can't wait to see all the amazing things you'll continue to do for our profession. So thank you so much for being with us on the Sound
Thank
Sisters.
you.